In this video, I'm going to be installing a new clutch master cylinder. The tools needed for this job are a 12mm spanner, a 12mm socket is optional, 8mm spanner to bleed the clutch with, small long nose pliers, small screwdriver, or ideally a small hook. I will begin the job inside the cab by removing the instrument binnacle, and these are the clips I'll have to pinch with my fingers to unclip it from the bottom on both sides. And this is what I'm doing now, unclipping those clips on one side and on the other side. Also, I'm going to make some room by lowering the steering column to its lowest position and give me room to remove the cluster itself. Then unclip the rest of the cluster at the top and around the whole cluster itself. That will be loose now, but before you can take it out completely, from behind I'll have to unplug all electrical connectors to the switches on the binnacle itself. Again on both sides, and then remove it. After removing the binnacle, I'll remove the 5 screws holding the instrument cluster and remove that as well. Without unplugging any electrical connectors from the instrument cluster, just swing it out of the way on top of the dashboard like this. So I don't empty the brake fluid reservoir of brake fluid all over the floor. I pinched the fluid supply hose to the clutch master with vice grips on the insulated part of the hose. And now I'm ready to remove everything the clutch master cylinder is still connected to, starting with the clutch pedal itself. And I'll start by removing the safety pin on the clevis pin on the adjuster. Just a close-up shot of the adjuster and the clevis pin with the spring already removed. You can use long nose pliers or a small screwdriver to remove the safety pin. A small hook is ideal for this job due to the limited space. And that's the safety pin out. And this is what you're trying to remove. Next, I'm going to remove the clevis pin by just wiggling it around and maybe pressing on the clutch pedal itself to loosen it up in its spot. And that's partially out now. Remove the pedal in like that and just wiggle it around. That's the clevis pin. Out, and it's no longer connected to the clutch pedal. Next, from under the dash, I'm going to crack this hydraulic line connection and then do it back out, so it's easy to undo when it's when the cylinder's unbolted. The cylinder's mounted on 2 12mm bolts, and it's easier to get to them from the underneath the dash. Next, I'm going to actually remove the cylinder itself from its mounting by undoing these 2 bolts. These are 12mm. 12mm. I have removed the hydraulic lines and plugged them up. Same on the out hydraulic pipe. And now I'm going to remove the cylinder itself around the pipe, and it's out. Let's compare the cylinders, and they do look the same. And yes, the clevis pin does fit, it's the same size. And I have adjusted the push rod to the same amount of thread showing as on the old cylinder, and it's ready to go into the vehicle. And that's what I'm going to do now. And to the top, around the pedal, around the lines. And this way around. Put it on the studs, like that, and get the bolts in. And the other one. Now I'm going to remove the plugs and ready to fit the hydraulic lines. And these, as always, I'm going to hang on to them. I've got this line in by hand, and slowly and gently making sure it's not getting cross-threaded. Do it up with that 12mm again. As well as the mounting bolts, I'm going to do them up by hand as well. There's not much to go. But I'm going to do up both of them by hand. Make sure they're nice and snug. Right there. With the supply hose, before I fit it, I'm not going to refit it on this clamp here. That might be okay while the hose is brand new and relatively soft. Let's plug out, and I'm going to take off this primitive clamp. And replace it with something better, which is one of these. And throw it on that cylinder. Now I'm going to connect the push rod slash adjuster with a pedal, grease up everything on the contact surfaces, including the clevis pin. So with that greased up, align the adjuster with the clutch pedal. that is in. Like that, and you might have noticed then that from factory this clevis pin is installed in reverse. Well, I can't get my hands in there to get it that way, so I adjusted, I put it in this way, I assemble it this way because I can't get my hands in there any other way. I've got the adjuster adjusted as per the old one, so adjustment should be just about there. This is how the clutch pedal adjustment works. The further the adjuster is screwed out towards the clutch pedal, the earlier off the floor the clutch will grab. So something like in my illustration there. On the other hand, if the adjuster is adjusted further away from the pedal, the clutch will grab later off the floor. Again, something like in my illustration there. This is something you're going to have to try out by operating the clutch with the engine running. Now that I've got my clutch pedal travel sorted out, I lock the adjuster nut on the back of the adjuster with a 12mm. Like that. Like that. That's the adjuster locked in place with the lock nut. Now it's time to put the pin. You can just see the hole where the pin goes, and the clear view of the adjuster nut as well. And I should adjust. You can clear view of the adjuster and the lock nut, as well as the hole on the clevis pin. For the split pin there, I'll use some long nose pliers to get it into place. So I can see the hole there, and I can just see where I'm going with the pin itself. Get the angles right. I'll probably have to do this with the left hand. And I'm making it harder than it is because I'm holding the camera in one hand and doing it with the other, but there you go. If I do it like that, you can't see what I'm actually doing. So I can feel it going in, and it's in like that. So that's finished there. Pin, safety pin in. Adjuster adjusted and locked with a lock nut. At this stage I've bled the master cylinder by pumping the pedal by hand and undoing this pipe here to let the air out of the master cylinder. The instrument cluster goes in next. Install the 3 screws up the top of the cluster, as well as these 2 down the bottom. The binnacle goes in next. Once the binnacle is in place, I connect the electrical connectors to all the switches on the binnacle on both sides. Then I clip the binnacle back into place, starting at the top and finishing at the bottom, and that is all the work done inside the vehicle. Here I'm using a 1-man bleeder to bleed the hydraulic clutch system. The bleeder nipple on the slave cylinder is 8mm, and I'm not going to go into further details about bleeding the clutch in this video. Thanks for watching. See you next or the previous video.